and uh, Mayor, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Vice Mayor Designate, you hear me?
I'm here. Hi, good afternoon. I had it on mute.
Okay, Councilman Scott Galvin, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Councilman Power Keys, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Councilwoman Marie-Stime Yevin, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Tuesday, April 14, 2020. It's exactly 1:01 p.m. We're about to begin with our CRA board meeting. And Madam Clerk, can you call the meeting to order, please?
Board Member Estime Irvin.
Present.
Board Member Keys.
Here.
Board Member Desilme.
Here.
Board Member Galvin.
Here.
Chairman Bieneme.
Yeah.
Chairman, you have a quorum to proceed.
Thank you very much. And the other item, it's the first item, it's can I hear a motion to approve the minutes from March 10, 2020?
So moved.
Second. I'd like to make an amendment to those minutes, please.
Yes, can I hear a motion?
It says when we went to approve the bylaws, I made a motion and we discussed leaving the purchase without authorization at 25,000, and we had changed. It had been changed to 50. We all agreed, and I made a motion to approve it at 25,000. Minutes read that I made a motion to approve the minutes. I made a motion to approve the minutes with the amendment to the 25,000. So I'd like those minutes, please.
That's mean the minutes should be approved with 25,000 maximum. Yes. Is that correct, Councilwoman?
Raja, can you answer that, please?
Yes, that's correct. So Board Member Keys is indicating that she would move to approve the minutes subject to an amendment in the minutes to reflect the bylaws approval with the change from the 50,000 to the 25,000 limit on the authority of the executive director with respect to purchasing.
Thank you very much. Can I hear a motion? A second?
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes with the change in the item.
Second.
Regarding the bylaws.
Madam Clerk?
I have a motion made by Board Member Keys to approve the March 10th, 2020 minutes, subject to the amendment and the corrections as indicated by Board Member Keys. The motion was seconded by Board Member Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Next item, Madam Clerk, item 4.
All opposed?
Oh, sorry.
So item passes with a 5-0 vote.
Item number 4.
Agenda item 1, resolution to approve rules of procedures for virtual meetings of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency. A resolution of the chairman and board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency adopting rules of procedure for virtual board meetings in accordance with the Florida Governor's Executive Order 20-69 that take place during the pendency of the state of emergency declared in Governor DeSantis' Executive Order 20-52 and providing an effective date. Agenda item 1.
Thank you very much. Is there a presentation by the director of this the CRA attorney.
Just briefly, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we all know, that there's a state of emergency declared by Governor DeSantis previously, which would require us to not be in the same room, for, fear of spreading, COVID-19. So he issued a second executive order indicating that all meetings could be held virtually, city councils, CRA boards, and the like, provided all other regulations and restrictions regarding the Sunshine Law are in effect. So these rules were developed through the coordination of myself, your city clerk, your city IT department, and your executive director. And these would be the same rules, as I understand, that your city council will be following as well. So, of course, we need to approve this first and foremost before we can move forward with the agenda, and we recommend approval.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yes.
Question. Through you to Mr. Zuckowitz. Steve, are we allowed to vote, or are we giving consensus that the manager or the CRA director is looking at? Are we voting?
Yes, you're voting.
Okay, I see the confused look on your face. At our last city council meeting, virtually, there was a debate over whether or not we were allowed to vote. So I just wanted to get that cleared up because it'll come up again at 2 p.m.
Okay, well, my opinion and the opinion of my law firm, and we represent a number of different cities as city attorney and a number of other community redevelopment agencies, is that the governor's order 20-69 provides, as long as we adopt rules for virtual meetings, that we can hold meetings virtually as we are doing and vote on items going forward. Our advice to our clients is that the items that go on the agenda should really be things that relate to the crisis. Like for the CRA today, we have two grant programs that address, immediate needs of, citizens and businesses in the CRA redevelopment area, and that items that could, possibly be postponed to a later date, be left off those agendas. But you're obviously free to put whatever you want on your agendas and vote on those items.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other question from council members? Vice Chair?
Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a point. Mr. Zuckerwood is correct. County commissions and other municipal entities have been voting with regular items, just as prescribed within the executive order from the governor. So that is correct. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any
Move
other
to approve.
Second, if there is no other questions, Madam Clerk.
I have a motion made by Board Member Keys to approve Agenda Item 1. The motion was seconded by Chairman Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank
Item
you.
passes with a 5-0 vote.
Agenda item number 2.
Agenda Item 2, resolution to approve North Miami CRA Emergency Relief for Essential Businesses Grant Guidelines and to spend no more than $50,000. A resolution of the chairman and board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency establishing the Emergency Relief for Essential Businesses Grant Program. Allocating $50,000 to the Emergency Relief for Essential Businesses Grant Program. Authorizing the executive director to take all steps necessary and appropriate to implement the Emergency Relief for Essential Businesses Grant Program and providing an effective date. Agenda Item 2.
Thank you very much. Yes, Ron?
Before you is the first of two emergency relief grant programs that the CRA staff, in collaboration with our CRA attorney, have created to help small businesses in this current crisis. The Emergency Relief for Essential Businesses program is available for eligible existing small businesses listed as essential businesses by Miami-Dade County and the City of North Miami office, and generally limited to providing the following services: food services, laundry, dry cleaning, convenience stores, and otherwise meet the grant guidelines. This grant is a one-time financial assistance to generally be used for the purchase of inventory and other items set forth in the grant guidelines to help the business stay open and keep serving the public. This is a $1,000 grant. It will be available to only 5 small businesses as a source of funds. It's very limited. We are using the interest earned on the TIF to fund this program, not the normal TIF. To date, we've processed 25 applications, and we're already gathering a wait list for the additional 25, and we're asking for your approval. Just for the general public, the requirement is the business must be within the CRA geographic boundary, must have up-to-date licenses, and must be in business within a year, have been in business for a year in the community. Staff recommends approval. This has been very positive for the businesses that have already received their grants. In terms of monitoring, they're required to bring their receipts within 15 days of issuance of payment, so we can monitor and reconcile it with what they said they were going to use. So staff recommends approval. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Thank you very much. If I understand that, that grant is for essential business who right now are open, right?
Yes, so they have to remain open. And as per your stay at home, it's really food, grocery stores, those businesses that are allowed to stay open right now and are serving the general public.
Thank you very much. Any question? Yes, sir. Scott.
The money that we're approving right now is above and beyond what you've already done on your own, Rasha, or is this?
It's including. The 50,000 is including the 25,000 that I was allowed to disperse through my discretionary, and there's another 25. So the total for this program is 50.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Everybody looks a little fuzzy.
Yes, you can.
Froze there.
Okay. So it's 50,000, 25 already, and 25 new.
Yes.
And if we were interested in expanding that 25 to 75 or 100, do you have a contingency for that, or is that something the city itself would look at?
That's really, it's the question for the CRA attorney. The issue that we have is generally the CRA attorney doesn't think that inventory for business qualifies as eligible use of TIF dollars because it's not restricted through our boundaries. So we would have to look, and that's why we were able to look creatively on where else can we find additional funds. So it would really be the CRA attorney's, legal opinion to see if there's another way to do it. So that's why we use the interest that we earn on the TIF to fund this program.
And that's all you have is 50,000?
It's 50,000.
Okay. Well, I mean, in general, Board Member Galvin, I mean, you know that, the TIF money is supposed to be spent in accordance with the statute. It's mainly for bricks and mortar, other items such as, marketing the CRA, administrative costs and those things. I just, it's sort of a gray area, I think. I think with respect to the crisis that we're facing, I think there might be more leniency. We are subject to audit every year by Miami-Dade County. And my only concern would be that the county may look upon us and say, well, you really weren't supposed to spend the money on inventory and the like for businesses. I know when we give grants, if it is covering any sort of inventory items, it also has some sort of other bricks and mortar component to it. Again, I don't want to be an obstacle to providing aid and assistance to local businesses that absolutely need it. So, I mean, in this particular case, I mean, I would say that, it's a gray area. If you want to allocate more funds to it, again, I don't think that there's going to be an Inspector General investigation into this, because I think these are things that other CRAs and cities are probably doing. But as long as it's limited in this particular case during the state of emergency, and if we do get a negative response from our audit from Dade County. I mean, just let's remember back, that, we may be overstepped, but we did it for a good reason.
Thank you. For the good of the body, I'd be interested in expanding it, if not today at this meeting, then at the next meeting if possible.
Okay. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Alex.
No, I
On
was
this
gonna
one
say,
with the five,
I'm sorry?
I'm just,
Alex is next. Please.
who's speaking?
You are.
Vice Mayor Desulme is next.
Okay. I wanted to
Vice
apply.
Mayor.
Go ahead, can you hear me?
Yes, it's you, Vice Mayor.
Yes, I was saying I wanted to applaud the program when I first heard about it, and I thought it was very creative. However, I had email with Rasha so that we could make sure that the disparity in business are not there, because right now it's only 3 businesses in my district who, I don't know if they qualified or whatever the case is. So whatever that we need to do as a city or to assist those businesses, if they can't even apply for this grant, which I do agree with Councilman Galvin, it's very easy. It's something that's very, very good for our business. And I'm happy for all the businesses applying. But if we have businesses who does not have BTR or the essential thing that they needed, they barely can't apply for this, then we really got a problem moving down. So I would ask the CRA if they could work with me with whichever business, if I need to get out there and talk to these owner who's not in compliance, who needs to go pay their BTR, pay their UB, whatever other
UP.
things to get in compliance. Yes, we need to do that, and I need to know, because it's a shame that it's only less than 10% of the folks. It's basically 3 businesses from my area who has qualified or gotten something thus far, and I'm not really happy about that. But we'll do what we can to fix it. But it is a good program. I just wanted to put that on the note. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, going back to this one that we're on with the $5,000 grant, this jumpstart.
This is
I-
1,000. We are discussing the
I thought we already
1,000.
voted on that.
No,
We voted on that.
no, we're doing the 1,000 now. The 5,000 is after.
Okay, I have no questions on the 1,000.
Okay.
What item are we on? We're on,
Item number 2.
I thought we voted on that.
The first one is the rules and regulation for the virtual meeting. And now we.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Councilwoman Estimé.
Thank you. Good afternoon again, everyone. Thank you so much, Rasha, for this program. I think it's a great program. In private, however, I did mention that thought that maybe the grant could be at least, especially if we're expanding it to 50,000, that we can have a minimum of 1,500. I just feel personally that $1,000, it might be great help, but to most people that are doing essential businesses, that have essential business, 1,000, I don't find that to be enough personally. I think if we could have the grant up to 1,500 per business, because you did mention this is a one-time grant opportunity only. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So if in my opinion, I think if we're really trying to be effective and help them throughout the crisis, that we should up the grant. I understand in the beginning when you did the 25, you did it under your purview. You didn't have to come to us. But now that we are expending that, I would suggest to also extend, have it just a little bit larger. That's just, I don't know how my colleagues feel about that, but
the question is, understand that's at the first $1,000, and after that we have the second grant for $5,000. And in the CRA guideline, and from what the attorney just said, there is they don't have that much room to help in that guideline. All they can use is $50,000 interest from the money they have at the bank. If you want to increase it to 1,500, that's when we're going to serve less people.
So if we are saying, if you would allow me, if we are saying that it's $1,000 per businesses, do we have, you know, how many pieces
We
are
have $50,000 to work with. We have 50,000.
I understand. How many,
Okay.
may I ask a question, please, Rasha? How many have applied for this already?
So far, we've processed 25 applications, and we're currently receiving waitlist requests for an additional 4 so far. So once this is approved and we tell the general public that it's available again, I'm pretty sure it's going to fill up very quickly.
Because
Unfortunately,
we're
we're
gonna
able
bring
to help 50 businesses. That's the issue.
I'm sorry?
I said, unfortunately, we're only able to help 50 businesses with this because this is a more restrictive, limited funding opportunity. We are going to try to find other creative ways to help out other businesses, and I hope to bring other grant opportunities for you to review and approve at the next meeting. But for now, this is what we're able to use because that's what we have as, you know, limited funding for that category.
Councilwoman Estimate,
Yes,
the mic is yours. Yeah, you done?
I am. Thank you.
Councilwoman Keys, you
Okay.
had a question about that?
Yeah, I'd like to leave it the way it is because we're gonna go from 25 more businesses down to 16. And then it's somewhat unfair to the businesses that already applied, because they only got 1,000. So maybe they should have gotten 1,500, which would be another 12,500. So I would like to just leave it and then try to get more for the businesses elsewhere.
Thank you very much. Can I hear a motion on the item, please?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary?
You'll make the motion. Are you seconding, Board Member Galvin?
Yes.
I have a motion made by Board Member Keys to approve Agenda Item 2. The motion was seconded by Board Member Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Agenda Item 3. Resolution to approve North Miami CRA emergency relief to jumpstart businesses and to spend no more than $600,000. A resolution of the chairman and board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency establishing the emergency relief to reopen business grant program, allocating $600,000 to the emergency relief to reopen business grant program, authorizing the executive director to take all steps necessary and appropriate to implement the emergency relief to jumpstart business grant program, and providing for an effective date. Agenda Item 3.
Before you is the second grant that the CRA staff in collaboration with the CRA attorney have created. It's called the Emergency Relief Grant to Jumpstart Businesses. It will be available for eligible existing small businesses needing assistance to reopen after disaster declaration has been lifted. This is a one-time assistance to be used for operational expenses. Businesses will need to show that they have applied for the SBA loans and the Florida disaster loans, are not eligible, or the loan would be too cumbersome to operate. Due to limited funding, this $5,000 grant will only be available to 120 small businesses until we're able to identify additional resources in our budget. At the time, the board will need to approve the additional allocation once we're able to secure it. Again, this is for businesses that are within the CRA geographic boundary. Primary purpose, use must be commercial. They must have all their licenses up to date, must be in business for at least 1 year. And just for the clarification, they have to show that they have applied for the SBA loan, the Florida disaster loan. There are many grants that they will be offering through that, and I am about to train my staff to help those small businesses so they can apply for them. So this grant will be for those people that are not able to get either an SBA loan or a Florida disaster grant. We will be the last resort to help them open up with this one-time $5,000 grant. Staff is recommending approval. If I'm available if you have any questions.
Chairman Bieneme, I do have a question from the public with respect to this item or the.
Can we hear that before we?
Sure. Jim Garrett, 645 Northwest 132nd Street, North Miami, Florida, 33168. Are there any written criteria for proposed 2 CRA relief programs by the city so we are ensured that our taxpayers' funds are going to North Miami-based small businesses who have not received and or denied CARES Act relief loan programs from various federal, state, and or county agencies? Our intention is helping those small North Miami-based businesses that have been denied loans from other sources and no double or triple dipping from other sources. That's the end of that.
That's the only one? Now let's turn it to any member of the CRA want to speak or have questions.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Vice Mayor Desulme first.
Oh, sure.
Go ahead, Councilman Gowan, you there?
I was trying to follow that question, Madam City Clerk, and it went by real quick. Was the person concerned that somebody would get the $1,000 grant and then potentially still be eligible for the $5,000 grant?
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure,
Okay.
please.
Are there any written criteria for proposed 2 CRA relief programs by the city so we are ensured that our taxpayers' funds are going to North Miami-based small businesses who have not received and or denied CARES Act relief loan programs from various federal, state, and or county agencies?
Oh.
So that was the question. And then he
Gotcha.
followed up with a comment. Our intention is helping those small North Miami-based businesses that have been denied loans from other sources and no double or triple dipping from other sources.
Okay, thank you. As I interpret that, and this is maybe something we need to work on for future webinars, as I interpret that, they want us to be sure that somebody isn't getting CARES relief and city relief. In my opinion, that's something we shouldn't restrict, nor can we likely police. If the person was in the audience tonight, so to speak, I'd follow up, but if I interpret that, that's how I see it.
You are Vice Mayor Desulme.
Yes, my concern is, I think it's great, but a lot of the businesses, in terms of in my area, they probably are not in compliance with licenses, so they can't even apply for nothing.
Question, Vice Mayor Desulme.
Yes.
And Madam Director, Madam CRA.
Yes, sir.
And can they apply for, if let's see the CUP or business tax receipt expired, can they apply for it?
They can go pay for the BTR at the finance department and show us the receipt
And
that
when
they.
the receipt?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We currently have even some of the applicants, they didn't even have their existing BTR, but they brought us the proof that it was paid. And we use that as the backup and we verified with the finance department afterwards. So as long as they're up to date with their city licenses.
Vice
Yes.
Mayor Desulme, what you would like to see as a guideline for
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think the guidelines are good. I just think this is an opportunity for our city to have these businesses who are not in compliance to get in compliance. As bad as that may sound, I had the list. I think there was 4 different lists that Rasha or Walon had went out there and talked to the businesses. And there's one in particular, a restaurant in the plaza near St. James. I shall not give the name, but that's already enough information. That particular owner did know that there was something with the BTR that they needed to get compliance. So when I called them, I said, if you can't apply for this, you definitely won't be applied for other state license. So I was able, I believe that I instruct Walon to go over there and assist that restaurant, and then whatever that they needed to do with the assistance of the finance department and the CPND. But what I'm saying, Mr. Mayor, this is an opportunity for the city, or I thought it used to be with the clerk's office, but whichever department, to run a list of these businesses who's not in compliance. First of all, it's illegal if they're not in compliance. So we need to go out there and reach out to them and say, listen, before you could get anything from the city or the state or anywhere, you got to be in compliance. So if I have that list, or I know who these businesses are, I don't know if it's the finance or CP&D who keep this list. This could help us, especially with these essential business. They're going to want to apply for money, including the other businesses, for this 5,000. So we need to let these businesses know what they got to do, and this is money that could be coming in for us as a city. So that's all I'm saying. We got to be mindful of that. The first step should be we need to know these businesses and give them an opportunity to be in compliance. Because I thought the city either done that or the city should have done that. Police it a little bit more to say you out of compliance, you need to be in compliance even prior to this pandemic.
That's when you tell it, okay. And I know some other cities, and they use code enforcement to go at each of those retail store and tell them, hey, you know, your business tax receipt is expired. Do you want to renew it? And you know, you can. This is the time they open from this time to that time, so you can go and pay for it and things like that. That's been, and I hope that the CRA take in consideration those expired BTR and ask them to go and be in compliance, and so we return, so they can return and apply for those grants and Russia.
And if I may mention the outreach, Russia, when the CRA does them, I don't know if they only do it online or via, because what I'm finding out based on the numbers of, it's not everybody who's equalized in the, which they should be as business owners, but not a lot of them are getting the application online. So we got to find another way to reach out to those businesses if they are not either connected with the city portal or the CRA portal to find out what information is happening and benefiting to them.
And I would like to see in every district have equal opportunity to apply for those grants. That's when if we can, everybody can get the same amount of businesses based on those major corridor, and can be helpful. And if we can do something, and for those BTR and CP&D or the city clerk department, or I don't know which department is in charge of that, please stick to it. And any other question? Councilwoman Esime,
Thank you.
you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Rasha, are they able to use, if they're applying for the grant and they are, since my colleagues are asking for assistance and help with the small businesses in the BTR if they're not compliant, are they able to use the grant dollars to be compliant?
Mr. Attorney, generally no. In our guidelines, you do have to be, you know, that's your one responsibility as a business owner to pay for that license. So generally, no, we don't allow CRA funds to pay for, because we're like essentially paying the city for a license for this business. So they do have to take care of that themselves. And for the record, also, the Florida disaster loan requires for you to upload an updated business tax receipt. So even that as a requirement to apply for these loans and grants is you need to have that available and up to date.
Right. Also,
Madam,
That's consistent with all of our grants.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Camo, if they meet all the other requirements, can you allow them to go update the BTR and come back?
Yes, sir. Yes, we always do. Like I said, the minute the finance department, they get me a receipt. You know, the only reason why we don't have like quicker information from finance because we're in a skeleton crew, but usually when I send out an email to the finance and the CP&D department, they respond, you know, within 24 to 48 hours to confirm that payment was done and the receipt, you know, it's validated. So we do work with people.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
yeah. Why are you making it a requirement that they must complete a SBA loan or the PPP program or whatever it is to be considered for that. What if someone generally does not want to do that, but they're still in need? Why should that, and they're in the city of North Miami and they're a part of the CRA, why must that be a requirement?
So we are only limited, the need is more than we can help. So we have limited funding. We can only really help 120 small businesses. But essentially, I know these things, the CARES Act keeps evolving, but there are grant opportunities within them that some of these businesses are eligible for if they apply through their banks. The PPP, the payroll program, is forgivable for the first 8 weeks. The Florida disaster loan, like I said, has a $10,000 grant. So those businesses that can file their paperwork and have access to that can have $10,000, $20,000 as forgivable loans to operate and start their business. We're looking at making it available for those small mom and pop businesses that this is their last resort, that they're not able to have access to those funds. So, and again, like I said, we have limited funding for now.
I understand that we have limited funding, but my understanding also in conversation with you is that like the first or second day, there was no more funding. Banks were not lending anymore. Is that a correct assessment? So are we just making them go through the exercise so that they can just have this?
I think there's another stimulus funding that's coming through soon. I know that Congress is there's like 2 other plans that are coming out. I mean, this situation is evolving day by day, so I pay attention to what's going on. I know that, like I said, there's some additional funding that's coming through. Wells Fargo closed after their first 10 billion loans. And I confirmed it with the Wells Fargo person in North Miami, but the next day he emails me that they're now reopening and they're now taking applications.
So, I understand what you're doing, and I understand the spirit that you're doing it. I don't think it should be a requirement, but I think it should be strongly recommended, that someone fills the SBA loan, and then afterwards, if they can get the help, maybe they won't need the CRA dollars. That's fine. But to make it a requirement that they fill out those, the SBA?
It is at the will of the board, but we're just trying to make it so that we're able to help those, like I said, those existing mom and pop businesses that would otherwise not be able to access grants to reopen.
Right. Existing mom and pop quicker come to us than they would go to SBA.
I agree with you, Councilwoman, but again, I can only do 120 businesses. So like
in
one day or like in 30 minutes, I can wipe out that pot already and not and the rest of the community is not served. So we do have to find a way to make sure there are other opportunities out there. My staff will help them find those, the idle grant loans, those forgivable PPP loans, help them with that. And then that other pot of businesses that don't have the wherewithal and that opportunity, they can get this $5,000 to start over. So
I have a question for you. Some of the requirements, I know you've done the seminars, the requirements that are being asked in the SBA, are there any that you would find that are restrictive that would automatically disqualify some of our small businesses?
Yeah, I mean, some of it, for instance, if your credit is less than 680, you're under further review, which would take you a little bit longer. They're asking for 3 years of tax returns. Not every small business has that. They haven't filed. Some of them also, if you're asking for $25,000 or more, you have to provide some form of collateral, whether it's property, personal, or your inventory. So some businesses may not have those opportunities.
And that is my point. You understand? And that is exactly my point. So again, understanding that you can only help. I mean, we're going to do what we can do, but I think we're making it more restrictive. Okay, they have to go, and you already know a lot of the businesses in our city have a hard time just doing a BTR, much less all of that. So that I think board member Scott Galvin mentioned that he would want it to be restrictive, and I kind of agree with that, and I would want that to be amended just for those reasons. Again, not discouraging you or anyone else, and I would encourage anyone else to file for these things. But once someone hears credit, there's a category that's already not going to file. Once someone hears collateral, what makes you think that they're going to do it as well? And so they're automatically not able to do that, and they are the most needy. They could be the most needy. So that's...
Councilman, what I can say is exactly what you're saying. If their credit, we know that their credit is going to keep them from having that SBA loan, that makes them eligible for this grant. That's
I
the
understand
point.
that, but why go?
So,
Can I ask a question?
go ahead. Yes, sir.
What's the definition of our small business? Do we use the SBA guideline, based on the number of employees? So what's our determination of a small business?
Well, the SBA is 500. So, we don't have, that. For me, we're not even qualifying as the number of employees. We're qualifying it as a small business that doesn't have, like I have in the guidelines, it's not a chain, it's not more than one business. It is a, brick and mortar business that's serving the community within the North Miami CRA boundaries. That's all I have to make it as broad and as flexible as possible. It
So
cannot
if
be
they have 10 employees, if they have 10 or 15 employees, then they still be okay. They're the same thing as somebody who have 1 or 2 employees.
Yeah, they have the fair chance as long as they provide the backup documentation, their taxes, or, whatever it is other that they need to provide.
Now that we know half of them don't have taxes and stuff, so are we saying that just go online and just do the formality of apply to get this disqualified and then come to us? Is that part of the guideline?
We actually even have, they need to provide their last quarter's expenses and revenue reports and receipts. So if they don't have their taxes available, and that disqualifies them for the SBA and the Florida disaster loan, they need to be able to show us, because they need it to be open for a year, that, they have some kind of receipts and for the last 3 months for their income and expenditures, so we can see that they were operating a business and, they know what they're doing pretty much. So.
And if let's just say they don't have that, because half of the ones that we're dealing with BTR don't even have what you just said. So what are the guidelines for them? And I don't want to name anything, but I can give you a prime example. So what do? If they were operating, they have their with the state of Florida, they were registered as a business, and they simply did not file anything. So what do we do?
Well, I just confirm with our attorney. We can use our discretion based on a case-by-case basis to see, what they have, what they've been doing for the year in terms of business, so we can use that to evaluate. But it would have to be on a case-by-case basis. I can't just say like a blanket, it's okay.
No. What I'm saying is, if they have their business license from the state, which they're going to need to open a bank account, so they have to have a bank account. That they have something. They may not be filing the right paperwork, but the basic requirement, because a lot of people think once they got the Department of Corporation business license, which say that they have their business, and they could show you business not tax receipt, but bank record. I think that's as broad as you could, you'll get everyone in terms of something like that.
Everything they can to avail themselves to be successful.
Are you telling me home-based business are not qualified, right?
No, sir. Go ahead.
Then
So,
the
Mr.
question.
I just wanted to make a comment, that one of the reasons why that requirements or those requirements are part of the grant application process is to make sure that these businesses are really doing everything they can to avail themselves of all the aid that's available to them so that they will be successful. We don't want to basically throw good money after bad and just hand some business $5,000 when they could also be getting other grant money and other loans to make them successful. So I think and I agree, if you want to make it in the discretion of the executive director on a case-by-case basis and not a hard and fast rule, that's fine. But just so you know, that's the reason, or one of the reasons why it's there. We want to make sure these businesses, when they come back, have the best chance of success possible with everything that's out there and available to them from both the federal, the state, the local, and the CRA. Thank you.
And Councilwoman Keys?
Yes, I would like to listen to our attorney. He did it eloquently. I wouldn't even begin to say it again, but everything he made sense. We've got to make sure these businesses are viable because we are limited. And like everything he said is, I mean, it's just spot on. Thank you, Mr. Zelkowitz.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Councilwoman Estime, you were gonna say something?
Right, so that's based on what the CRA attorney just said. I'm in agreement with it. Again, I am not, my purpose is, and I understand what you're doing. If we can deter and get some of those small businesses to go elsewhere, that's fine. I just don't want it to be hard, you don't file, you can't even be considered for that. You know, like you said, your staff is going to be working along with them, encourage them to do it, probably help them on, that's fine. But I would rather use the language that we strongly encourage that way, because it's at your discretion anyway, than making it a hardcore, you must file for this or else you are automatically not eligible.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, do you have any comments from the public about that issue?
No, the one question that I've already presented was the only comment and question relevant to this meeting.
Okay, thank you. And is there any motion on the item if we're done talking? Any amendment, any motion?
Wait, yeah, so I'd like to make a motion with a friendly amendment instead of making it a requirement to file for the SBA especially grant, that it is strongly recommended, you know, whatever language you think is appropriate, Mr. City Attorney. But basically strongly encouraging it, but not mandating that they must complete that.
I think she
Anthony, is there? But I think you said at the discretion of the
I have a motion.
director, and you say that. Steve?
Yes, sir. So the motion, as I understand it, is to approve the program, but to make it discretionary as to whether the requirements, Madam Executive Director, for the submission to the other programs that are available is not a requirement, but in the discretion of the Executive Director as to whether or not to go forward and approve that grant.
So that means I don't have a second on my motion.
You have a second?
I made a motion.
What was your motion?
I made a motion, which I did not amend, so if I don't get a second, then it fails, so you can make a new motion. I believe.
We did not hear your motion, Board Member Keys. We heard Board Member Estime Irvin's motion.
No, I made a motion to approve. And Board Member Estime asked for an amendment to my motion, which I did not do. So my motion fails or not.
I have a question, a quick question, Mr. Mayor. Real quick, how do we ensure the fairness in of businesses that will be getting these grants, Ms. Executive Director?
Met what is the question, Vice Mayor?
How do we ensure the fairness, the disparity, the fairness, the equalness of that businesses from across the city will get these will get equal opportunity?
But the question that you raised, the concern that you raised is about the BTR, and the director said she's gonna address that. And if
I didn't hear that. No, I didn't hear that, Mr. Mayor. You know, because my thing is, I'm looking at it from a standpoint where 90% of the businesses thus far, you know, and I have businesses who might be. I just want to make sure that it's fair. I don't really mind the resolution how it is, or with amendments, whichever. I just want to make sure that it's fair. That's all. That's my.
Well, I think one of the concern, you know, especially when you're talking about Dixie Highway, maybe 119, maybe 7th Avenue or 6th Avenue, and anywhere in the city, it's most likely the BTR. Sometimes it's expired for 2-3 years. They haven't renewed it, but the CRA director just stated on
Mr. Mayor, that could be one, but also the access or knowing that, you know, we have things available could be another issue. So I just want to make sure.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Mr. Chair, I think the councilman is talking about the outreach part
Yeah.
of it.
Outreach.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's what he's talking about.
No, I'm
So,
pretty
I mean,
much, I talked to the director about it, and I'm pretty much sure she said she's gonna reach out to all the businesses, making sure they're aware that there is an application for it, there is a grant available at the city.
yeah, and also the mayor has gone on the Haitian radio also so far.
Not just emails.
Yeah, because my thing is I have some Spanish businesses, some other businesses. I want to know at least I'll be out there giving out the flyer because with this one I did not know. When I see three businesses with the first one on 7th Avenue and everybody's asking for something, that was alarming. So I do not want the same thing to happen. So just let me know. And I'll help out and do whatever that we need to do with the outreach. That's basically it.
And Madam Camo, and those applications, they're gonna be available for everybody.
Yes, sir. Once the board approves.
And
Yes.
you're gonna reach out to everyone, whether they speak Creole, Spanish, or other language.
Yes, sir.
Are you planning on doing that?
Yes, sir, we are. Once the board approves it, then we're gonna start the outreach part of it. I mean, the press releases and the notices that we put out was, again, contingent to the approval. Now, we are gonna reach out through our media and the PIO, through the Haitian radio to make sure that they are aware that this is available and for them to apply.
Not just that, if we can have people actually working the street to those businesses and let them know that there's a grant available, and that would be helpful.
So, we will do our best. I got the list of the BTR list. It's a master list, and it does have email addresses and phone numbers, and we're gonna try to reach out. The issue is right now, some of these businesses are not open right now because they're not essential businesses, you know, the barber shop and so on and so forth. So even if I walk around, they wouldn't be around for me to tell them about this grant opportunity. We're gonna have to be very creative in reaching out to them so they can prepare. So we are gonna do it through the radio, the media, and like I said, I already got the master list of, you know, the BTR from the finance department, and we're gonna reach out through their, whatever contact information they have put on the application to let them know it's available.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
So what if we gave first choice, or first crack at the businesses that do actually make the effort to get their SBA loans, and if we don't fill all of the loans, if there's not 120 businesses like that, then we open it up to the remaining businesses that don't feel like making the application. Because the people who you're gonna strongly recommend, and the people are gonna go out and be trying to get their loans. The other people are gonna jump in and say, well, you strongly recommend it, but we just can't do it. We know we're not gonna apply. They jump in and get the money, and then our businesses that have taken the effort, all of a sudden they're shut out because the other businesses came in front of them. So I think if you're gonna comply with those, if there's money left after those businesses, by all means, give it to people who did not apply at all, but give our businesses who try a first shot.
And I think also that the first package that the CRA is putting out there, and we're going to explore the possibility to see if we can have more people.
I guarantee you that little pot of money will be gone very quickly. Like everywhere I've read and gone, one program they had, and I think I sent the article, it was a $5 million pot. In 16 minutes, they had to shut down their website because they already received over 2,000 applications. So
that's why if we make this recommendation, then we're sending all our businesses out to try to get money. They get it elsewhere. That way we have money for the other ones who can't get it. But we're making more available as our attorney.
Can I ask a question, if I may?
What do you mean, Councilwoman Keys, again?
So if everybody on this, if we kept it the way it was, where you have to make an application, maybe 50 or 100 of these people who would normally be coming to us are getting money from the state or federal government, that leaves room, that leaves available money for other businesses that can't get the SBA loan.
But how long is it gonna take to get
Try
the
to
final?
get money from other sources. This is for, like, this was meant as a last resource because you can't get it elsewhere. Everybody just swoops it up and that's it.
The question, how long is gonna take before someone can know exactly if he's gonna get that money, that SBA loan?
That's a question. You don't know when it's gonna be lifted either. It could be lifted next month.
Okay. Yes, Scott. Councilman Galvin.
Thank you. I understand where the councilwoman is coming from, but I don't think we have the luxury of waiting and waiting and waiting. It's true. Somebody's going to double dip. They're going to get this pot of money and this pot of money, and they're going to rub their fingers to get. There's all in a time of emergency. There's almost no way to police that. The SBA isn't going to release their information to us any quicker than the state is telling us who's filed for unemployment. I totally understand where she's coming from, but I'd rather us move now. If we need to tweak it or fix it later, we can maybe figure that out.
Vice Mayor.
Quick question, Mr. Mayor. Now, Rasha, do you know, I know we got to go to the council meeting. How many businesses are there within the CRA boundary? And do you have allocation or location based on that?
Actually, no, I was just, the list that I got, the city's BTR list is actually citywide. So I'm gonna use that data and have it put on our CRA GIS map to see how I can populate it. But right now the city's system doesn't allow for us to just be able to pull out only CRA boundary businesses. So that is actually coming up soon. I'm gonna get that taken care of in a couple of days, and I can send you the report then.
Okay.
Now the motion is from Councilwoman Carol Keys with an amendment from Councilwoman Estimé.
No, I'm not going to amend my motion, so I was, there's no second, it fails.
What happened?
My motion fails because I'm not amending it, so I don't have a second.
Okay, thank you.
Vote
Can I
on
hear
it the
a
way it is.
motion on the item, please?
Motioned with Councilwoman Estimé's amendment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
We have a second?
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Councilwoman Estimé.
No, she's the motion maker.
Make the motion, Estimé second the motion.
And board member Galvin can second it, whichever way you want. That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
I
Got
second
it.
I think it needs to be read exactly what it's going to say. Please.
All right, so my understanding of the motion, and correct me if I'm wrong, and who made the motion? It was Councilwoman Estimé Irvin, is that you're approving the program.
But Galvin make the motion with the amendment of Councilwoman Estimé, and Councilwoman Estimé second the motion.
Okay, so just for the record then, since, so we need clarity then, Board Member Galvin's motion is approving the program as presented with an amendment that the requirement to also participate in the other programs be discretionary.
Yes. Yes.
I have a motion made by Board Member Galvin to approve agenda item 3 with the amendments as stated. The motion was seconded by Board Member Estimé Irvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any report from the CRA attorney?
No report, sir.
CRA executive director?
Mr. Chair, just quickly, just to let everybody know, on April 2nd, we held a webinar with the SBA, and over 100 people registered businesses to learn about how to apply for loans. Now we're actually training our own staff to help with these applications. We're going to be scheduling smaller webinars for small business groups, like 20 small businesses so they can go through the process and learn how to apply. And also, we're going to have these small webinars to help our businesses understand virtual meetings, how to maybe be more strategic in their process. Since now the new culture and the new environment is more, FaceTime virtual meetings. So we're going to try to help sustain by providing technical assistance on these webinars for these small businesses. So there's going to be a calendar of these meetings put out soon, so we can advertise and help people to see how they can improve and continue their business.
Thank you very much. And no public comments? Now you motion to adjourn?
Madam, Board Member, Secretary, Madam Secretary, you're saying there's no comment? I just got a text from a resident saying that they sent a comment, or I guess.
Is it for the CRA meeting?
Apparently. Well, that's.
Okay. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
For this meeting, I do not have any.
For the CRA?
For the CRA meeting, the one comment was a question, and I already put it on the record.
Thank you very much. Can I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. We're going to come back in 5 minutes.
Thank you.